Hi, I'm Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner. Today is December 4th, 2023, and I was really looking forward to filming a video today. And kind of uncharacteristically, as of late, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to tune. The sort of themes and topics have been sort of presenting themselves in remarkably evident and obvious ways lately. And so I've just thought, oh, voila, I know what I'm going to tune next. That's what I'm going to make my video on. It keeps sort of showing up. And today it felt a little more elusive, and several things came to mind. Number one, we're at the beginning of the last month of the year. This is a time that I'm very precious about. It is the last sort of dark stretch before the solstice, at which point the day extends a little bit more, which I quite love. We are less than a month away from the beginning of a new year, and all of the energies and intentions and effervescence and newness and renewedness about a new year is a personal favorite of mine. And I thought of one expression and one quote in particular that made me sort of arrive at what I wanted to tune today. The first is a quote that I heard at an early podcast that I was listening to, and two philosophical guys were sort of debating the topic of how to be a human, how to be one human in this world of humans. And one of the guys mused and said, isn't it funny that what we think is so personal, so private to us, so intimately ours, whatever problem or angst or pain or whatever, it always winds up being so universal, that what you're so afraid to share, the minute you get brave enough to share it, everybody's like, oh yeah, that me too. So I was thinking, okay, Rebecca, rather than trying to decide what to tune, what tuning would you like? And that brought me to the second thing, which was the expression, the best gifts given are the ones that you'd like to receive. And so I thought, well, there you have it. That's what I'm going to tune. I'm going to, wide open and out loud and on this public forum, I'm going to tune myself, and I'm going to give the tuning that I'd really like to get today. And so with that, I'm going to begin. First, I'm going to ground us all down. Everybody take a nice big breath for Rebecca's tuning. Yeah. So much of the tuning, aspects of the tuning, things that I would like support, validation, acknowledgement, witness around are feeling seen and feeling heard. Feeling seen and feeling heard, I have the luxury and the privilege of being listened to and considered a lot in my life. Perhaps you could argue that it is something that I have worked towards, and I have. And I just have many beautiful souls who know and love and support me. But one of the topics in particular around being seen are sort of being acknowledged, seen as an acknowledgement for the earnestness with which I've shown up to the things that are important to me and shown up to the people who are important to me, albeit flawed. It's always earnest. And one of the things I charge myself with every day is, in that way, bringing my A game. Nice. So for all of you who still have miles to go, who still have many things that you want and aspire to, and have been showing up over time in earnest with the best game that you had that day. Yeah. Wow, that brought up a huge wave of emotion. Whew, wow, okay. Let's really ground into that. Let's really anchor that in. That our best efforts, all the ways that those have looked, our best efforts are seen and acknowledged. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And one of the other topics, again, if I get to custom build my tuning around the universal but deeply personal things that I want, the other one that is just crying out so loudly is the concept of time, as in time to just be. Not enough time to get everything done. Oh my God, what if there wasn't that much to do? What if there were space in which to dream? I saw an absolutely riveting talk last week by a Mr. JF Martel, who is a philosopher, an author, a filmmaker. And it was a talk geared for young people at a high school here in Atlanta, Georgia, that I just happened upon and was invited to. And his take, his considerations, and the way he spoke about things that were deeply important to me, which is, how do we create? From where do we create? How do we prioritize and craft the passing hours of our life? These are all things I think about daily, and he spoke to them with such sensitivity and with such similar considerations as myself that I felt immediately kindred towards his concepts and towards him. And he talked so much, he talked about the Sufi, again, the synchronicities of the things that he brought up were uncanny, but one of the things he talked about was the Sufi concept of the mundus imaginalis, the imagined world, imagination world. And that he argues that like a stratosphere almost is the endless pool from which all creativity springs, and that one must be quiet and in fact still for some amount of time to slow the mechanics of daily life in your own person to then access the potentially new creations that want to come down from this other space. Earlier this year, I had been compiling, so I write things down in longhand in notebooks. I take notes, I journal, I take notes about things that I listen to and read and study. Their musings, ponderings. I just have notebooks upon notebooks. Actually, you can kind of see some in the background. I have a lot of notebooks. And sometimes after I fill them up, I hang on to them for a little while, and then I have to go through and cull the information, because all notes aren't really important. And they have to be curated after a while. And one of the notes that I wrote years ago, honestly, kind of in early smartphone days when predictive text became a thing, and I wrote, "The life that you want isn't predictive." And in effect, JF Martel's talk was basically saying the same thing. And what we need is more unstructured, I'll say it, unproductive time to just be bleh, so that something can come through. But if we're always distracting, and if we're always consuming, or if we're always making our next content that we can put out into the world, there's no space for anything non-predictive, not just a repackaging, non-scripted, non-prescripted, to drop down out of nothing. The whole time he was talking, I thought of one of my most favorite Terence McKenna quotes. "We live in the condensation of our imagination." But if we never have time to imagine, then it can't condensate into a droplet of reality. Rather than the condensation of imagination, we just walk through recycled sweat. That's both disgusting and kind of what's going on, y'all. So in this tuning, of grounding down into the acknowledgement of the way that we have been showing up, and giving an appreciative hug to the efforts that we have been sustaining, and in allowing ourselves the necessity of the order of time to just be. It's become such a quote, to be a human being rather than a human doing. And it's such a soundbite, but man, truly, I dare you, like, try it. It's hard to just be. And to wrap those two elements in a snuggy, soft, huggy coat of everything's going to be okay, that the universe has your back, that whatever that looks like, it's right, and you're doing right, like you're on the right track, like you're where you need to be. You're where you need to be. How you arrived is valid. For you to just be here is legit. And you are safe and welcome. That. Oh, that really brings up a lot of emotion, the sort of tenderness, truly people's earnestness, or maybe my own earnestness. Is so touching. It's so complete. It's so right there. So I know the beginning of the month was technically on Friday, but this is the first week of the last month of 2023. So I'm going to shine up this field. And not shine it as in ignite it with busyness and doing, but illuminate it with the reverberant quality of assurance that we are where we need to be, that we are enough. What we have done is enough to date, and what we will do is also good and enough. And to not know is a creative moment. To be slow and still. In the wide open now is information. That is being in formation. Doing nothing is bringing down the next future. In formation. And that is all the information needed. To trust that feels like an act of intrepid rebellion. But the tender truth of it is also so profound, it's making me tear up a little. Oh my gosh, you guys. I could weep. Thank you for joining me to this upcoming month. To this upcoming year. To all time that is now. Thank you for joining me.